Hi, welcome to Box on the Box, Rock and Celluloid, Bok for short. I'm Edward Box, so I'm going to do my box watch today. This is for August, obviously it's coming out today, September 1st, but it's basically everything I've been watching since my last box watch. So I usually do this every 2 or 3 months. I'll maybe not go for everything, but we'll pick out some, hopefully some good stuff. I'll just start with films. So the first film I watched since the last time I went through it was actually The Long Good Friday, which I'd not watched for a long time. Must be 20 years, obviously, with Bob Hoskins, Helen Mirren. If you've never seen this film before, it really is one of the all-time great British crime films. Probably bettered only by Get Carter, maybe Brighton Rock. It's right up there. Bob Hoskins is amazing. Helen Mirren is amazing. But it's got a really interesting plot. At the time the film came out, it kind of predicts the Thatcherite revolution of developing old industrial sites in London and moving from industrial to a market economy. What was interesting watching it this time is how it predicts Brexit attitudes as well. The Harold Shand character, mentions things like the Dunkirk spirits, and he mentions Europe, and we're going to be in Europe now, but he kind of rejects that at the end to a certain extent. So it's really a prescient film on many levels. If you've not seen A Long Good Friday, check it out. It's got a fantastic music score by Francis Monkman as well. Really good. One of the all-time great British crime films. Then I watched Star Trek Undiscovered Country, Star Trek 6. Hadn't seen this for a while as well. Again, if you like Star Trek films, you've probably seen this. Generally speaking, for most people, this is the second best Star Trek film. I agree with this. I'm not sure I did a top 10 Star Trek films. I'm not sure I put this second or third, but I think it's definitely second now. It's only beaten by Rafa Khan. It's a great send-off for the original Trek crew. It's really good. It's loads of fun. The effects are decent, considering a fairly low budget for that film at the time. Really good story, great stuff. So yeah, it was Star Trek 6. And then there's a few other things, a couple of films that stood out. Next one I watched The Forgiven. This was a Ralph Fiennes, Jessica Chastain film. Forget who the director was now, he'd done something else. I quite enjoyed this. It's about a kind of aristocratic, where he is. Couple travelling through Morocco, going to a party in a castle in the Moroccan desert, and they run over a young boy, and it's about the aftermath of that. It was pretty good. Then I watched Smile as well. This is a horror film, did very well at the box office. I think last year. I hadn't got around to watching it yet, but did so. I thought it was pretty good. I imagine there'll be a sequel. It was quite creepy. The acting was good. It's quite kind of gory in the right way. Not amazing, but watchable. Worth checking out. Another film I watched, another archive film, so to speak, was The Devil's Own with Harrison Ford and Brad Pitt. I saw this in pictures when it came out. I saw it after that. And it was interesting to see it again because I hadn't seen it for a while, but principally how it looked at Irish politics, the Troubles. It wasn't a very good film at the time, and it's not now. It's quite hilarious whenever Brad Pitt's on screen. He always plays sort of what I call fiddly diddly Irish music. There's a bit where he's doing up a boat that he's going to ship weapons over from Boston over to Ireland. When he's doing that with his mate, it just plays like happy music, like they're having a great lark. And he's a terrible Irish accent, and he just looks really pretty. It's in that phase when he's a much better actor now. But what's interesting about it is that Harrison Ford gave a great performance. It rose above the material, and I really enjoyed seeing that again. His performance, not the film. Extraction 2, I actually did a review of this. If you've not seen it, it's really good. I think it's better than the first one. One of the better Netflix films of the last few years. Really good action. I'm quite liking this Netflix franchise, so roll on the third one. Then I watched a documentary, The Hatchet-Wielding Hitchhiker. This is really interesting. You've not seen this, check it out. It's on Netflix. One of those slightly, truth is stranger than fiction tales. It's about a guy who rescued a motorist from, I think it's like a road rage incident. A guy started attacking him and he happened to be carrying a hatchet, and so attacked the guy with a hatchet, and he got loads of media coverage, but there was a strange story there. So check this out. It's pretty short. I spotted he was a bit mad, let's put it that way. But it's that thing, you know, media now and YouTube and social media can make celebrities of people without really checking out or getting into the psyche of these people. Lewis Capaldi documentaries, interesting. Can't stand the bloke's music. Lovely bloke though. Looks at the problem of writing second albums. I write music, I play music myself. So what's interesting to me with this is when they go out and write with other people. And sometimes there'll be another 2 or 3 people sat in a room, and I'm just wondering what these people are contributing. You know, there'll be someone like, you know, going, yeah, that sounds good, you know, did they get a credit? I don't know. I always find that quite strange. It's worth checking out. He's a regular guy. Then I watched Fall. I wanted to see this at the pictures. This is where the girls climb up a huge telegraph, you know, receiver mast is about 2,000 feet. Low budget but decent effects. I mean, you can see the joints, but it's all right. Decent acting. This is pretty good. It's that kind of film where it's in that genre of open water, or the one where they're stuck on the ski lift. If you've seen that, I forget the title. This is worth seeing again. It's a good 6, 7 out of 10. It's easy entertainment. I thought the director, you know, he did quite an effective job. Then I watched this horror film, The Deep House, as well. This was a kind of ghost story, but set in a house that was submerged, and 2 divers go down to check it out. That's what was interesting about it. The film was a bit wishy-washy, but it was just quite interesting having a haunted house movie in a submerged house in a lake. You often get these cases where, you know, the water subsides, and, you know, when there's a drought, when they've submerged villages and things like that in reservoirs. So that's quite interesting. Then I went to the pictures. Most of these have been online. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. You can check out my review for this. I'm not going to talk about that. Next film I watched on Netflix was Nocebo. This was with Eva Green and Mark Strong. This was an interesting horror film with an interesting sort of social. It's kind of, I suppose it's kind of social horror in a way, the way it went. So this is worth checking out as well. There's quite interesting. Basically, she's got an illness, and I think she's Filipino. House maid helper moves in. Again, not so much creepy, but just interesting. An interesting take on the genre, and the kind of payoff and the way the story went, and why the things happen that they do in the story are interesting. Not something I've seen before covered in this way in a film, certainly not in a horror film or thriller format, so check it out. Mission Impossible Fallout, still the best Mission Impossible film. So we did all the Mission Impossibles, I think I mentioned in the last box watch. We were working our way through them, me and my wife. Obviously with Dead Reckoning coming out, we wanted to watch Fallout again. This is still one of the great action films of the 21st century to me. It is the pinnacle of Mission Impossible. If you've not seen it, check it out. Finally got around to watching Plane, the Gerard Butler thriller where his plane downs, and then there's a kind of militia group on an island. Perfectly watchable Butler fare, 6 out of 10. You know, decently made, acting's decent. You know, Gerard Butler, he does bring good entertainment, you know, on a certain level. I think it's not directed by Rick Roman War. I forget who the guy is. I think he might have done the remake of Assault on Precinct 13. If you've not seen Plane, check it out. Couple horror films, Run Rabbit Run, Viking Wolf. I quite like Run Rabbit Run. Some people slagged it. It's got Sarah Snook in it. I thought it was okay. 6 out of 10 watchable. Viking Wolf could have been interesting. It's a werewolf film. There's not many werewolf films now, but it went a bit silly. Then we got The Outlaws. This is the comedy. I'm not sure the name of the actor, I've forgotten it, but he's funny in it. It's got Pierce Brosnan and Ellen Barkin, who have not seen anything for a while. Basically, he's getting married, and his bride-to-be's mum and dad turn up, and they're robbers, or he thinks they is. This is quite a funny film. Again, it's a decent Netflix comedy. Brosnan's good fun. Barkin's good. Again, forgive me for not knowing the lead actor's name. I think he's in Pitch Perfect, but he's really funny in it. So this was good. Another good Netflix film alongside Extraction 2. Documentary, Sky Original documentary. I'm a big F1 fan, not so much now, but I like historical F1, and obviously one of the legends of Formula 1, if you're not aware, is the great Gilles Villeneuve, died in 1982. His Ferrari teammate that season was the Frenchman Didier Pironi. He was predicted to be the first French world champion. It looks at that season and the tragedy that unfolded in that season for Ferrari and the fallout between the two drivers. And again, it's interesting, it goes away at the end you don't expect. Really good documentary. I like the way it's split up. Great archive footage of both drivers on the track and off the track. If you're a sports fan or you're interested in sports documentaries, check this out. If you're an F1 fan, you've probably already seen it. If you haven't, it's absolutely essential. Very good. Also, a Jackie Stewart one as well. Again, if you're an F1 fan, this is a great look at Jackie Stewart's career. Great archive footage. I checked that out as well. It's called Stewart. Okay. Mission Impossible, Dead Reckoning. Obviously, I've covered that. I saw the pictures. Check out my review. The next film of real interest to me that I checked out, this was on Amazon, and it's Possessor. I really wanted to see this. This is directed by Brandon Cronenberg. So he is the son of David Cronenberg. He's a chip off the old block. This has got Andrea Riseborough in it. She plays an assassin who uses a machine with a handler to enter other people's bodies and kill people. A very strange film, really visceral violence. Brandon trying to outdo his dad. You know how Cronenberg can just fucking really go for it. This is a sci-fi film. It's got that oddness of like something like Existenz. Yeah, well worth checking out. You know, I wouldn't say it's great, but I think Brandon Cronenberg's gonna make a great film. His new film I haven't seen yet. His latest is supposed to be good. Check it out, Possessor. Onion Field. I hadn't seen this film for years. This is a cop thriller with John Savage, James Woods, directed by Harold Becker, who did Sea of Love. Quite interesting. A little bit of a melodrama. It's based on a true case of a cop got murdered. Two cops, one got murdered, played by Ted Danson, in an onion field by a psycho played by James Woods and his mate. And it's about the kind of fallout from that. Not great, but interesting. Also watched The Pledge again, another cop film, but a retired cop film. Jack Nicholson. If you've not seen this, Sean Penn directed this. This is the third time I've seen this. This is one of Jack Nicholson's great performances, I think. He plays a cop who pledges to a victim's mother that he will find the killer. He gets obsessed by it, and he just, you know, he does something really bad. It's well worth checking out, The Pledge. It also was a pleasure to check out Nightcrawler again. Saw some pictures back when it came out. Jake Gyllenhaal, Rennie Russo, Riz Ahmed, Bill Paxton, directed by Dan Gilroy. This really is one of the best films of this century, I think, American films. It's really good. If you're interested in watching a good review of it, go on the Critical Drinkers YouTube channel, and he does just something called the Drinker Recommends, and there's a really good sum up there. If you've not seen it, check it out. It's got great cinematography by Robert Elswit. It's about a guy who discovers people who go to accidents, shooting, stuff like that, to film them as soon as possible that it's happened. They use the police channels, then they go and sell it to news channels to make money. This is really good film. I'd easily give it 8, 9 out of 10. Okay, then, the documentary The Deepest Breath. You may have heard about this. It's about free diving. This is very good. Really good underwater footage. Again, a good narrative. Interesting about free diving records. Didn't know much about them. Well worth checking out. Here Before. This is another film recommended by a mate of mine, Howard Smith. He's got a podcast, Talking Bollocks. He does film reviews on that and talks to people in the metal bands and metal industry, heavy metal music. This is Andrea Riseborough again. She's a very good actress. I can't remember. I saw this on Amazon, I think. But it's good. So check this out. Catherine Called Birdie. This is a good kind of kids film directed by Lena Dunham. It's from like a really popular book. What's the girl called? I've forgotten her name, but she's in The Last of Us. This was really good. It was funny. This was an Amazon film, straight to Amazon, very good. Clinical, saw this on Netflix, quite a good thriller, horror thriller. This was okay, 6 out of 10 if you're looking to kill a bit of time. You want to watch something easy. It's quite good. Film, couple of disappointments. The Whale with Brendan Fraser. I wanted to see this for ages. Of course, he won the Oscar for this, but I didn't think the film was very good. Fraser gives a good performance, but it's very stagey. It's based on a play. I don't know. I think this is what I call a bad Oscar. I think people might look back on this and go, I don't like it when actors are awarded for good performances or great performances in bad films. The film's got to be good as well. This didn't work for me. Creed 3 as well was another one I watched. I was looking forward to this. I thought it was supposed to be better than Creed 2. I was interested to see what Michael B. Jordan did with the series and his direction. But it just didn't work for me. So I would avoid that. Demonic. This was a crap Neil Blomkamp film. That was really bad actually. Neil Blomkamp did District 9. It's a horror film. I think it was on Amazon. Not very good. Bloodline. Sean William Scott. I watched this on Amazon. This was a kind of Dexter-style serial killer film. And it was pretty good actually. It was okay. Again, it was kind of one of those films. 6 out of 10. You can watch it. It's not bad. Cam, this was quite interesting. This was on Netflix, I think. This is about a girl who's a cam girl, performs for subscribers. This is pretty good, quite a good, interesting look. It was a kind of a horror-y thriller thing, but it was kind of interesting how it looked at that aspect of the sex industry. It's worth checking out. It's good. It got some traction at Sundance. Then there was Paradise. I watched. This is a German science fiction film on Netflix again. Sort of lost its way a bit, but it's quite an interesting concept. If you're interested in sci-fi, it's worth checking out. It's basically people selling some of their life for money. So it never explains how it does that, but it's like, you kind of lose 30 years of your life. You're getting some money for it, and rich people are made younger. There's more to it than that, but it's quite an interesting concept. Then I saw The Inspection. This is a film about a guy who goes into the army who's gay, into the Marines, and how he has to battle prejudice in it. It was good, really good performance. Looked at an interesting subject, and again had an interesting ending and went a slightly different way than to what you'd expect. An interesting look at Marines and that culture, based on the experience of the director. God, there's loads of stuff here. Take a Chance, Confessions of a Stalker. This is about the guy who was a stalker of Agneta of ABBA. If you're an ABBA fan, it's interesting. Dave Not Coming Back as well. This was a documentary about a diving accident, which I read about in a Telegraph article, which again is interesting. There's a big, deep kind of pool in South Africa where divers like to go, but it's very dangerous. Guy was diving down there, went down, got a record and found the body of a diver had been missing, and decided to bring the body back or put an operation together. Worth checking out. Your Son. This is a Spanish thriller on Netflix, I think, and this is good. The guy's a surgeon. His son gets brutally attacked by some people outside a nightclub, and he starts to investigate who's attacked his son. Again, it goes ways you don't expect. This was decent actually. Sometimes, I put on Spanish thrillers on Netflix and I kind of, I stopped watching after a bit, but this was a good one. Check it out. Documentary Voyeur. This was on Netflix as well, I think. This is about a guy who had a motel, and he had the top of the room's attic all connected to each room and a peephole in a vent, and documented it. And then there's a famous New York Times journalist who'd interviewed him in the past and decided to write a book about it. Again, it doesn't go the way you expect. It kind of tailed off at the end. but it's just quite interesting. Interesting characters in it. Yeah. The next one I'll pick, The Covenant, the Guy Ritchie film with Jake Gyllenhaal. That's on Amazon. This is worth watching. This was a good Amazon streaming film set in Afghanistan. It's had good reviews. Check it out. And also then I watched Becky on Netflix, which is really good. My mate Hannah Smith from the Talking Bollocks podcast recommended this. This is a girl goes to a log kind of cabin that her parents have, and some escaped prisoners take a family hostage, but she's escaped, and basically she kicks ass. It must have done pretty well on stream because they've done a sequel. I really enjoyed the lead performance by the actress Lulu something, forgotten her name, but Kevin James plays a neo-Nazi in it. He of Paul Blart fame, and he's actually good. He does a good job. This is well worth checking. It's a lot of fun. Then I watched Boss Level on Amazon with Frank Grillo. This was like a sort of budget Edge of Tomorrow. Mel Gibson was in it. It kind of didn't quite pull it all off its concept, but it was quite a lot of fun. It's a funny film. He's caught in a time loop. He has to repeat the same day, like Groundhog Day, like Edge of Tomorrow. But like Edge of Tomorrow, he kind of works out how to get further through the day. If you watch it, you'll get the whole plot. Bank of Dave. Rory Kinnear's is on Netflix. This is another... this is pretty good as well. It's about a guy who started his own bank. It's an underdog story, David versus Goliath. If you're a Def Leppard fan, you've got to watch this because Def Leppard appear in it, and the name of the band gets mentioned so much they must have paid to have their band name mentioned about 20 times. But it's a feel-good film. It's okay. Alice Darling. Watch this. This is Anna Kendrick. It's about she's in a psychologically abusive relationship. And she's kind of trying to break out of it. It's good. Enjoyed this. She goes away with 3 friends, and the boyfriend's just got a hold on her. So it's about coercive control. It's good. There's other stuff I watched there. The main one was Neither the Sea Nor the Sand. This is a weird British horror film thriller from 1972, based on a book by Gordon Honeycomb, who was like a kind of local newsreader. It's just a very odd film. It's not really good, but if you're interested in kind of curious British films, you can watch it on Amazon. Okay, we need to get onto TV. And I'm going to really skate through this. I'm not going to pick through all these, but I watched The English on iPlayer. This was a Emily Blunt Western series that came out last year. I thought this was pretty good. It wasn't great, but it was interesting. Acting was really good. It was really well shot, quite cinematic. And the guy who's playing the Native American character was very good, and had a really good thing with Emily Blunt. Rafe Spall was very good in it. So if you're wanting something a little bit of cerebral and a kind of slightly different take on the Western, this was good. Once Upon a Time in Northern Ireland. This is a superb documentary, available on iPlayer. I think it's in 5 parts, and it's getting testimony from different people on both sides of the conflict involved in the Troubles. Really good. Definitely worth checking out. And just widens your outlook on that and gives you different perspectives. And then a series of thoroughly enjoyed, which is The Gold. This was the one with Hugh Bonneville about the Brinks Mac robbery. A little bit of controversy about this because Jack, I've forgotten his name anyway, he plays Kenneth Noy, who's a very renowned criminal in this country. This is really good. Hugh Bonneville was having a field day playing a sort of cop, not like Jack Regan, but it was nice to see him break away from his Downton Abbey persona. He just really good. Watch You, the new series of that. It's set in England. I enjoyed that. Maybe not as good as previous series, but I love You. I love Penn Badgley in it. It's always fun. So that's one of Netflix's best series. Bernie Madoff documentary on Sky. I knew a little bit about Bernie Madoff, but this was really interesting. He just broke into how he did his Ponzi scheme, how he ripped people off, and why people should have recognised really that something wasn't right, because the numbers he was reporting are just statistically impossible on Wall Street. There's also a De Niro film about this. The Diplomat, watched that on Netflix. No, yes, it was Netflix. It was okay. Quite a good ending to the series, but maybe wanting to watch it more. This stars Kerry Russell, Rufus Sewell. You know, we kind of watched this because we're stuck with something to watch, but it's okay. Quite a good political drama. Fowler Series 4, Fowler's back, love Fowler. Not as good as the previous 3 series, but it had a cool ending, which makes me think they'll do a Series 5. If you've not seen Fowler, it's an Israeli show, and it follows the Israeli Defence League, obviously tracking terrorism and stuff. And it is a bit biased, obviously, it's Israeli made. But I think it's a really good show. Black Mirror, new series. I thought this was back to its best. I thought the last series was not great. Some really good stories in this. Really enjoyed this series. You know, some great acting in it, some funny stuff. Usual Black Mirror things, a lot of dark stuff. Liked it. A couple of sport documentaries. Breakpoint, the tennis documentary. I kind of lost interest in this a bit. It's on Netflix. I like tennis. Check it out if you want a good sports documentary. But like I say, I've kind of not finished it yet. I actually watched all the Full Swing, which was the golf documentary on Netflix. I found this more interesting, probably because I don't know as much about golf as I do tennis. So it's quite interesting following the different people on the tour, PGA. Terminal List, Chris Pratt. Got around to watching this. Started slow, but once you got going, I did enjoy this. Good 6-7 out of 10. If you're looking for an action thriller with some good deaths, you know, because he plays a SEAL who's kind of betrayed. This is decent. Then I watched Dr. Death on Channel 4. You'll get us on catch up on 4. Stars Christian Slater, Alec Baldwin, and Joshua Jackson. He plays a surgeon who is inept and keeps killing his patients and getting away with it, doing awful spine operations and so on. This was pretty good. Again, it wasn't great, but it's quite frightening actually, what happened to some of the patients. But it's good to see Christian Slater in a big role. Alec Baldwin's always good, and had actually a good double act in it. So that's worth checking out. And then I watched, keeping on the tennis subject, I watched 15 Love, which was this thing with Aiden. Oh Christ, I've forgotten his name. You know, Paul Dark. Sorry. It was okay, you know. It's set in the world of tennis again. It was a bit cheesy, but it was watchable. Couple of comedies. I finally got around to watching Derry Girls. I'm on the final season of that. That's a lot of fun. If you're not seen Derry Girls, it's like a cross between Father Ted and In-Betweeners. There's a lot of good religious jokes and jokes about the Troubles. And the main characters are really good fun, and it's quite funny. They're played by actresses who are clearly too old for the role, so it's kind of like Please Sir, if you remember the old show from the late 60s, early 70s, Please Sir, with John Alderton. You know, you had six formers who looked about 30, so although it's not quite like that, it's kind of funny. And then I started watching Catastrophe, Sharon Horgan's show, Rob Delaney's show. Just on the first season of that, but really enjoying that. I'm going to stick with that. She's brilliant. You know, if you're looking for some adult humour, that's on Netflix. You can watch all that. So that covers it. Unfortunately, I've gone for 29 minutes about everything I watched. I really didn't intend to waffle on for that long, but I do watch a lot of stuff. So remember to share and subscribe. If you want you know, any of those recommendations on there, you know, you fancy checking out, go for it. And I'll see you again soon for another one of these box watches, probably towards the end of the year. Cheers, thanks very much for checking out. Bye now.